Welcome to the Red Dice Diaries, and in this short video I'm going to be talking a little bit about Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, or V5. Now you should be able to see the PDF just over there if I've screen captured this right. I've recently been involved in a session 0, or a character generation session, for a game that Andre Martinez is running, and we had the session 0 the other day. Very much enjoyed that. The character creation in V5 seems quite involved, but it's still quite interesting, and it's helping you build up connections between the various characters, creating stories and NPCs that all help to make it so that you've got this stable of NPCs and supporting cast, if you will, and some ideas of the potential plots you're going to be doing straight away once you've done your session 0 when you get into the game. I could see that this may not make it quite as suitable for quick pickup games or one-offs or things like that, but I think it probably would work really well for a campaign game, and I'm looking forward to getting on in Andre's game and seeing how this all works out in play. Now, although as you can see I've got the PDF here, I'm not going to do an actual review of V5 until I've got a hard copy of it. That's nothing against PDFs, it's just for myself I find it a little wearing on my eyes to read PDFs, especially if I'm going to be playing in a game, which I am doing with V5. So if I like a game and I think it has promise, I tend to go for a hard copy as soon as I can reasonably afford it, based on the price of the game. And V5, as you might expect, given that it's a polished game from a well-established company with full colour layout, glossy paper, the full 9 yards, is not the cheapest game you can buy. So luckily a very generous person who plays in my games has said that in celebration for the sort of like coming anniversary of my channel, and also given the fact that we've just recently passed 3,000 viewers on the channel, he said that he will purchase me a hard copy of this book. So obviously not seeking to embarrass the person, but you know who you are, so thank you very much for that. So this video that I've probably rambled on too much about already isn't going to be discussing the actual V5 book in terms of a review. No, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the Roll20 character sheet for V5 that has been designed by a number of very talented individuals, which we used in our session for Andre's game. I know he's feverishly working away at editing the video, etc., so that'll be up soon. I did a short podcast this morning talking about some of my initial feelings about V5. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. But for now, we're going to take a look at this excellent character sheet, which I hope will soon be available to everybody. I'm not sure how widespread a resource it's going to be, but it really is excellent and did save us an awful lot of hassle during the session 0. So I think it deserves to be applauded and shouted out about a little bit. So hopefully you'll be able to now see my Roll20 screen. You can see that obviously we've got the storyteller there, so obviously Andre is still logged in, sort of feverishly working away, no doubt, on his planning for the actual game, and you can see me there at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up my character sheet from Andre's game, my character Christopher Jordan. You can see I'm playing a Ventru, so I've gone for the stereotypical character in a suit. What can I say? I love a classic. Then if we go onto the character sheet and I drag this down a bit, hopefully you will see this lovely character sheet that has been set up. So if I go to the About Us section of it, you will see the various authors and designers there. Now, I think all of these people who got involved in creating this character sheet deserve a huge thanks for anyone potentially who is going to play V5 on Roll20, because it really did make it a lot easier to drop all of the information into. So thank you to all of you involved. due to my difficulties with pronunciation, I'm not going to try and massacre all of your names, but you know who you are. Thank you very, very much from me personally, as someone who has benefited from your hard work in the recent session 0, and I'm sure from everyone else who's used it and or will use it in the future. Your efforts really are appreciated. I hope you get the recognition you deserve, and I hope that this great resource can become available to other people. So just to give you guys a flavour of what this sheet is, let's just have a quick look through it. So if we click on the core sheet here, you can see it's set out in a similar layout to the classic Vampire the Masquerade character sheets, which I think is a good thing. You know, it keeps a bit of continuity going. It makes it easier for people like myself who've maybe been away for a little bit from the World of Darkness to actually get into the character sheets. You see you've got space for your name, your chronicle, your sire, your concept, ambition and desire, which may be new for people who are just getting into V5 from previous editions, but effectively an ambition is your long-term goal. My character's is make his sire proud and become a productive member of the clan, and then desire is like a short-term goal that you're hoping to accomplish in a session or two. Mine is to make that big score for Fat Tony. We then have Predator, which is the method via which you feed. My character is a very social character, so he's chosen Siren, which is feeding by seduction, etc. So, and this sort of gives you a few bonuses and extra little bits and pieces in the game to reflect that that's how you prefer to feed. Obviously there's my clan Ventru, generation 12. I'm sure you pretty much all know what that means if you're used to Vampire. We have the basic traits, which are like your attributes, your physical, your social and your mental. We have willpower and health, nothing surprising there. There's a nice little feature on the willpower and health where it's effectively each of these boxes is a 4-state box. When it's coloured in, it means grand, that I've got 6 willpower, I've got 5 health, whatever. If I click on a willpower once, it takes it onto a sort of a low level of damage. Click on it again, it's severe damage. I'm sorry, I can't remember what the exact titles are. I've not fully got into the book yet. If I click it again, it's empty, and if I click it again, it goes back to the full. I've got my maximum willpower and maximum healths written down. You can also click here to do a willpower reroll. I'm just going to click on these now to see how that shows up, because genuinely I don't know. We haven't actually got to the dice rolling stage yet. I'm hoping Andre won't mind a few like random rolls appearing in the Roll20. So if I click on willpower reroll dice, so presumably that will be the number of dice I'm looking to re-roll. So if I click on submit to there, we can see here it says John Allen Large, Red Dice Diaries, re-roll normal 6, 8 and a 1, successes 2. So the 6 and the 8 count as successes. Next to it we've got a button for a willpower roll, so I'm going to click on that. I have no modifiers. Modifiers will be familiar to anyone who plays Roll20 or most RPGs, to be honest. It's basically asking if I've got any bonus dice or any negative dice. I'm going to assume no, click on submit, and there we go. We see my character name, Christopher Jordan, willpower, normal roll. I've rolled a 1, 3 10s. God, I could have done with this roll during an actual game, a 7 and a 7, which means I've got 7 successes, and that quantifies as a critical hit. Very nice. Hopefully I'll get a few of those during the actual game. Next we move on to skills. You can see they'll all be fairly familiar to anyone who's done World of Darkness before, from your athletics, your melee, etc., your physical ones, to your animal ken, your leadership, your social ones, and then obviously academics, investigation, medicine, etc., your mental based skills. So I'm going to click on a couple of these now. So let's see, if I click on athletics, I get a box up where I get to choose the value that goes with it. So let's assume I'm doing some running and I'm going for strength athletics. Not really my character's strong point, since I've got a strength athletics of 2. So I'll click on submit there. I've got no modifiers, so there we go. Athletics, normal. One of my dice is a hunger dice, and I've failed. Unsurprising, my character's a social butterfly, not an athletic person at all. We then move down to specialities. You get to choose various specialities and skills. representing the ways in which you're particularly talented. You get these using one of the various methods to choose your skill dots, and also your method of feeding can give you some extra specialities here. As you can see, I've got a speciality in sculpture and the history of art, because my character is an art school university dropout who has been surviving for years on his sort of wits and his ability to blag people. So I've got bargaining, public speaking on performance. I've also got seduction on persuasion, which comes off my siren feeding method, and chemistry on my sciences, because he's been selling drugs basically to make ends meet and to provide money for his mortal family, who he anonymously sends money to. You can see that the creators of this character sheet have added in these handy add and modify boxes here, so you can just click on add to add in more lines. If you want to get rid of any, you click on modifier and then click on the little bin icons. Although that doesn't seem to be working particularly well at the minute. I can move them around. Oh, there we go. Not sure what's going on with that, but never mind, they're gone now. Disciplines is similar. You can add disciplines, you can modify them. You get to pick 2 dots in a discipline, 1 discipline at the start and 1 dot in a second discipline. I went for fortitude and presence, being 2 of the disciplines of the Venturer clan, which my character belongs to, and I've left dominate blank. Now, siren gives you an extra dot of either presence or fortitude, so I bunged it in presence. Unlike the previous versions of Vampire, where you just get the same powers based on your dots, when you get dots of disciplines in V5, you get to pick certain powers, of which there are multiple ones. So, for instance, when I started with my level 2 presence, I actually picked 2 first level abilities, Awe and Daunt, Awe basically making it more easy for me to persuade people and get them on my side, and Daunt making it more difficult for people to oppose me socially and to attack me and stuff like that. Now, when I got a third one, I actually went for the second level ability, Lingering Kiss, which basically means the kiss that my character inflicts when he feeds on someone is so pleasurable it can become addictive. And he also receives bonuses to presence for interacting with people that he has fed on previously. And I like this. This is a nice way of like keeping things versatile, meaning that not all people with the disciplines are the same. It doesn't mean you can look at someone and go, right, they're going to have level 1 and 2 presence, so they're going to have X and Y power. It makes it a little bit more uncertain. As you can see, there's an add discipline box and a modify box there, which work as with the previous section. We have resonance and hunger here. Hunger, I believe, determines the hunger dice, as you can see on my pitiful athletics roll. We have humanity here, and these can be rolled in various fashions. So a rouse roll is when your character's calling on the power of their blood, and it may rouse their beast. There are certain disciplines that do that, or that require that as a cost. Normally sort of second level upwards powers. The first level powers all seem to be sort of moderately useful, but they're free. They don't make a rouse roll. So my awe, it's not like I can just command people to do stuff. It just makes me generally a bit more likable, but it doesn't cost me anything. I'm going to click on the rouse roll now to see what happens. So I've clicked on that. As you can see, I failed, which means my hunger would increase. There we go. If I'm making a frenzy roll, I click here. No modifiers. Click submit. Difficulty, let's say difficulty 1. Click submit. So there's my roll. So let's see. I've got 5 successes there, so my frenzy is restrained. Let's try that again, see if I get equally as good a result. Absolutely fine. Remorse works in the same way. So if I've committed a sin against my humanity, there we go. Humanity pass. If I want to roll my humanity, there we go. Happy days. They're all easy icons I can just click on at the bottom here, and that's a great inclusion by the authors of the sheet. We then have the Chronicle Sheet, where you can put in your Chronicle tenets, your touchstones and your convictions, representing your links to your sort of credo and how that's represented by NPCs having to build up the story again. We have a space for the clan bane here, and these are just simple text boxes that you can write in, but they do the job. We've got an advantages and flaws section where you can click on to add merits and flaws, and you can click to modify/delete them here. Each merit and flaw comes in a number of dots. This will be familiar to anyone who's played the old versions of Vampire, and there's a little space to write them in. We also have a nice space for boons there, which is blank at the moment because we're still doing character jam, but I'm hoping to rack up a few of those later on. Blood and XP. So we've got various spaces for writing stuff in here. Experience, total experience, stuff related to blood potency and your predatory side, which can be rolled there. So for your predator, you can select an attribute and a skill and then roll it there. So details, we have character details. I've not filled this in yet. I was writing mine in a small sort of like notepad window, and there's a few bits I want to finalize before I write them in, but it's very nicely and cleanly laid out with some space for equipment as well, which is pretty cool. And if you click on add there, you can see you get to put in the name of a weapon, its type, the damage value, and any notes. Also there's a space for armor, which is pretty handy. We have a sheet here which is custom rolls, which is a feature I really like, and I think it's a wise inclusion by the authors of this sheet. There's nothing more frustrating than having to repeat rolls and not being able to get at them quickly. So if there's rolls I use regularly, I'm going to set them up in this sheet here, and then I can just click on them during the game, and that'll save me no end of time, and it'll stop me having to mess around with like custom macros and stuff like that. It's all in my character sheet. You get a handy little guide here which pretty much tells you everything you need to know to use this sheet, and I think it's a very good thing that the authors have done putting this in. It shows that they're actually trying to make this product as usable as possible for those who need to use it for their games, which is a great thing. There's few things more frustrating than finding a tool that you think is going to be great and is going to help you out a lot, and then finding it has obtuse or difficult to understand instructions. If I click on this coterie section here, you can see that it takes us into almost like a separate but linked sheet where you can set up the details of your coterie, who's in it, shared backgrounds, merits and flaws, and a little overview there. You can also put in details of the domain where your coterie chooses to live, their haven, back to the about us, and again the guide. And I can get back to my character sheet by just clicking here and going back to the core sheet. So there you are. That's a quick run through of the V5 character sheet that has been put together by some extremely talented individuals, and I'm putting the About Us tab up now so you can see their names without me having to butcher them with my poor pronunciation. But to all of the people who are listed on this About Us section, to all the people who put work in, thank you very much from me personally, as someone who has benefited from your blood, sweat and your tears, no pun intended. And to anyone in the future who's going to use this product, I think you've done us a great service. Like I say, I don't know exactly how available to the public or not this is, but guys who are writing it, if you've not done so already, I hope you're going to make it available to the general Roll20 playing public, since I think this is the sort of thing V5 is going to need to help it compete in the sort of marketplace of modern RPGs. Online role-playing is becoming such a thing now that it's almost unheard of for a major release not to have some online support. And I think for saying you guys aren't sort of massively profiting by this in any way, you're just doing for it for the love of the game, that really speaks volumes as to the purity of your intent and to the excellent effort you have put in. I for my part would like to applaud you for it, and again, thank you very much. So that has been me, Red Dice Diaries, talking a little bit about the Roll20 character sheet for V5 that I've had the privilege of using. Hopefully you'll all get to have a look at it in the future, and if you're going to play V5, and let us know what you think. And I'm sure the people involved would welcome any constructive feedback. Hopefully once I've picked up a copy of V5, I'm going to do a full review of it, but until then I'm probably going to keep putting out like a few podcasts and stuff to talk about the Grand Coterie game of Andres as it continues. Really looking forward to that. Can't wait to get into it, supported by some great tools like the character sheet on Roll20. Again, great effort by all involved, absolutely first class. Hope you've all enjoyed the video. If you have, click like, feel free to share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, etc. Thank you for everyone who has subscribed into getting us over that 3,000 subscriber mark. I'm very humbled by that, but I'm pleased that so many people have enjoyed our videos, and I hope to be filming many, many more in the future. Until I see you next time, take care, and whatever game you're playing, however much blood is spilled, or whatever dice you're rolling, have fun, enjoy yourselves. See you later.